So last week was quite possibly one of the busiest weeks I've had in a very long time, and I just wanted to talk about it here today because, well, number one, I haven't uploaded a video in quite some time, and I'm really sorry about that. But again, like I said, I've been very busy, and yeah, not a lot of time to record or film anything. So even this video was kind of just a lazy recap of my week, but I just wanted to talk about it because it was just so interesting. But for the first time in a long time, did I actually have every single day have an event. And I want to say they were all pretty like big events too. I want to say they're pretty big, but I don't know. Maybe in my boring life, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but oh well. I thought they were like interesting things that happened to me because nothing really happens to me ever. But on Monday, we're just gonna go down the line. We're gonna start from the Monday because that's when it starts. So on the Monday, work was pretty okay. Nothing really happened in terms of work for most of the week, to be honest, until the Friday. I'll get to Friday because Friday was really bad. But for most of the week, work wasn't that bad at all, to be honest. Not lots of stuff going on, and it's pretty chill. But Monday was an important day because the Jays, a lot of this has to do with baseball, by the way. If you live under a rock, or maybe you don't care about baseball, you probably should know that the World Series just ended. And spoiler alert, the Blue Jays lost. And I'm from Toronto, so yeah, it's kind of upsetting, a little sad, can't lie. But we move on, you know. We'll reach the championship, get it one day, you know. It's okay. I'm happy for what they accomplished. It was a sad ending, but you know, I'll get to my experience there later. But we're going back to Monday. Monday was game four, I think. Oh man, it's been so long now I can't remember. But game four, and this was in LA, so they weren't in Toronto. So coworkers of mine asked me to watch the game for the first time. I've never hung out with my coworkers, so this was kind of a big thing for me. And it was on the spot, so I literally just said yes because I'm like, it's the first time my coworkers ever asked me to do anything, so I might as well say yes. It's pretty big. But the coworkers I went with, one of them, she's a really heavy drinker, and she's like in her she's not middle age, but she's in her 30s, mid 30s. And so they're like a big heavy drinker, and the other person I went with is just around my age, a couple years older than me. And so we went together close by. I was already, I work in the middle of the heart of Toronto, downtown Toronto. So they're playing it at lots of places. But we happen to go to this like open area. And there's like one security guarding checks your bag. But before that, the heavy drinker wanted to go and get some drinks at LCBO because they actually watched the place that we went to is a place where they've been before, and you can buy drinks there as well, but you're not allowed outside alcohol. But you can buy drinks there, but they didn't want to buy the drinks there because it was like overpriced. So I went to an LCBO. They got the drinks that they wanted. It was like 2 cans of whatever. I don't even know what it was. I'm not a big fan of drinking, but they got their 2 cans of whatever, and we went on our merry way. And they thought they could sneak it in because the last time they went, it was a lot of people, and so they didn't really check that much. But the reason why there was a lot of people was because the Jays were in Toronto, so yeah, there was lots of people there. But for this game, again, it was in LA, so not that many people there. And when we tried to go in, a security guard stopped her, and yeah, she couldn't get in. But obviously, me and the other person, like we stayed back, and we went with them and like decided what to do because obviously they're kind of bummed out they didn't get to drink. I felt bad too because they bought the drinks and they couldn't even drink. It feels bad for them, but yeah, we had two options. Number one option, what they wanted to do is go back to the office and then maybe try to play it on the laptop. But I kept explaining to them that you cannot do that. That's like against company policy to like go on like an illegal sports like an illegal streaming sports website and watch it on the company laptop. Like you can't even access the website. First of all, I can't even access YouTube on the company computer, so I don't even know why they thought that was even possible. But yeah, that was the first option. Obviously, that failed. But the second option was to just leave the drinks there and then go back and watch. Now I'm gonna be honest. This is what happens when you drink. This could have all been avoided if we just didn't get no drinks. That's all I'm gonna say. I am not a drinker. I don't condone drinking, but it's fine in moderation, as one would say. And again, I had nothing against it, but I just thought it was funny because they had to stuff the drinks into like their desk and lock it, which I thought was really funny. And then they were like, and she was like telling us like, guys, don't don't let's keep it between us, let's keep it a secret. And now I'm telling the world on my YouTube channel. So I'm so sorry to them for leaking your story, but I thought it was just hilarious and it was funny. And at the end of the day, it's just all fun and games, It's all fun. It's just to watch the game. And then yeah, we did eventually go back. They put the drinks in their desk, and then we went back, and then we watched the game. And that was a horrible game. I can't lie. It was horrible in the sense that it took way too long. In fact, it was one of the longest games ever recorded. It went 18 innings. And if you don't understand what that means, it's basically baseball goes up to 9 innings. And it went to 18. Because the way that overtime works in baseball is that basically a team needs to score before the game ends. So they have to get at least 1 point. And basically no team scored for those 9 innings. So it went from 9 to 18. So you've got 2 baseball games for the price of 1. And not only that, the Jays lost. So it was actually just awful. And I did not stay there until 3 a.m., which is when the game ended. I actually left 10:30 and I got back home. I think 10:30 was only the 8th inning too, but it was still tied, I think, at that time. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to go overtime. And then I got back home at 12:30 and it was like the 12th inning. And then I was like, what the heck is going on here? And I went to bed and I slept. And even though I went back home early, the funny thing is that I was just still so tired. I was so dead tired. And that was the first day, and it was so bad after that. I can tell you and be completely honest, I've never been so tired in my entire life. And that says a lot because I've been on like overnight road trips and vacations, and those have not even been anywhere near that tired that I've been. And I think it's just because like I'm working. So like, not getting enough sleep and then going straight to work, and I'm putting a lot of effort. Even though I said it was a chill week, and I'm glad it was, because if it was like a really heavy week, I definitely would have I don't know what I would have done. I actually would have died at work. But I was so tired, and luckily I was able to get through it all. But yeah, it was so tiring, and I know some people who stayed up until 3 a.m. A few other coworkers from other teams, they were like talking about it, and they stayed up, and it was like, what the heck? Like, dang, you guys are crazy. Another funny thing that happened too is that one of the coworkers is a really big Dodgers fan, and they put up like a Dodgers sign up on the wall, like a poster flag. I don't know, whatever you would like to say it is, but it was just really funny. Then it kind of became like the talk of the town, like him putting up the poster at his desk or whatever. And they're like, how did this get approved? Blah, 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 blah. I thought it was funny because I'm friends with him. So it was funny. But yeah, that was Monday, long game, tired, woke up tired. And then the Tuesday, the next thing that happened was I went to watch movies with my friends. We watched the Chainsaw Man movie. And again, I was coming off the really horrid sleep I was getting and tiredness of work. So I went straight from work to the mall to go link up with them. We ate food. Then we watched the movie. Good movie. Fantastic movie, actually. I really enjoyed the Chainsaw Man movie. Reze arc. Reze is probably one of my favorite Chainsaw Man characters now. Not to get into it, because I don't want to say spoilers, but I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm just gonna say Reze is my favorite character, and it's just like really amazing what they did. I can't lie, it's a bit of a gooner movie. It was crazy because like it was opening weekend, not opening weekend, opening week. So basically, the Tuesdays, why we pick Tuesdays, because movies are cheaper on Tuesdays, at least here in Toronto for some reason. So we went because I could go after work, and again, cheaper movie. And Chainsaw Man isn't something that I'm like particularly a big fan of. I went with my friend who actually put me on the show, because he was reading the manga when it first came out, and so yeah, he's a shout out him, Big Man Gerald. It was also his birthday, so shout out him. And I went with him and another friend of mine, shout out Cassandra, and all three of us went to watch the film. And we've all watched the anime, so it's not like I'm so unfamiliar with Chainsaw Man, but obviously I'm not like the craziest fan. And I gotta be honest, like no bias, it was a great film. Amazing soundtrack, amazing character, amazing animation. Of course, animation has just gone so far, and I watched the Demon Slayer anime as well, and that movie was just as good as the Chainsaw Man film, and that animation was also just incredible. So it's so interesting to see how far animation has come, especially since you see like really old animated films and it's like completely different. At least in I guess the Western world. I don't know about the Eastern setting, because old anime films, like I can think of like Perfect Blue. I just watched that film, and like that's not really like a heavily like animated oriented film. It's more about the plot. But like I think in terms of just the creativity, it's like I was like having ADHD with the amount of explosions going on. It was like, god dang, Michael Bay direct. Is it Michael Bay? Is that his name? The guy that directed Transformers. It's like one of his films where just explosions everywhere. It was crazy, crazy. It was amazing. It was really great. I do recommend the film, except if you, I'm gonna be honest, if you don't know anything about Chainsaw Man, you don't watch it. You should probably watch the anime first and then watch it. But yeah, it is a gooner. It's a bit of a gooner anime. There's some crazy stuff that happens, and I forgot to talk about the atmosphere because again, like I said, it just came out, so lots of people were there in our theater, and the demographic is crazy because it's like basically just teenage kids. I don't know if the kids, but they're guys, teenage guys, and we got some other people cosplaying there as well. And it's just like such a it's such an out of body experience for me. Like I'm not really used to being in that sort of field, though I've been to Anime North, so nothing compares to that. So I've survived Anime North, so I can really take on anything. Speaking of an out of body experience, one thing I forgot to talk about was one of the things that stood out to me during work was questions that we did daily. I think I'm gonna do a video on that. So I'm not gonna say it right now. My thoughts are kind of like I'm kind of freestyling as I go, but I just remembered this thing that happened at work, but where basically we would go on walks, and every time we go on a walk, it's just a 10-minute break of a walk, and someone would ask a question, and one of the questions was, what was one time you felt the most out of character? And I wanted to say at work, because like I'm gonna be completely honest, when I'm at work, I'm like the most out of character person. Like, you're putting on, the face, the smile, saying good morning, hi everyone, like how are you doing, blah 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 blah, small talk, blah blah blah. And I hate it so much because it's like I don't care. Like, to be honest, I want to go to work, go back home and do my stuff, because when I'm at work, it's like lame. Not to say that I hate my coworkers or anything, but it's just like when you put on the act, it's like hard to be myself when I'm in that type of environment, especially corporate setting. I'm trying to maintain a level of professionalism, and to be that type of person every day, it really is draining and it sucks. And if you've ever worked a 9 to 5 in office job, you'll understand what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, I obviously didn't say that. I think what I said, the most out of character moment I had was, I think I lied. I said some stuff like, oh man, I recently went on a trip with my family, and it was like a nature walk trip, and we did a lot of hikes, and I'm not like a hiking person, but then when we did the hiking stuff, like I actually really enjoyed it, which isn't completely false. I'm not like a big hiker, big walker. But I'm not gonna be on. I'm not gonna be honest and say like that trip like changed my life. I was like, oh man, like oh my god, I'm a hiker now. But you know, there isn't a lot of truth in what I said, and there's definitely some other times in my life, like I said, like being in office, where I've been out of character. I think one person, the funniest one was when a person said they got suspended in high school, and everyone was like, "What? Oh my gosh, you got suspended!" And it was like one of like the most quietest people in the team, and everyone got like so shocked that he said it, and then they all wanted to know like what he did, but he didn't like tell anyone what he actually did because he was embarrassed, and he was like, I'm just keeping it to myself, and I thought that was so funny. But yeah, I just thought that was just an interesting interaction that I had, because it was a really good question, to be honest. And feel free in the comments to drop a time where you felt like you were not the person that you were. Now I forget the question I just said, but tell me a time where you felt out of character, not like yourself. And yeah, I thought that was a good question. I just thought about it now because I felt really out of character when I was watching that movie. But anyways, this is just Tuesday. Holy shit, I'm going on a fucking full blown rant here. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna try and cut it short with my shits. But Wednesday was the next game of baseball, which is why that day was also pretty important, because again, for the second time, my coworkers actually asked me to go and watch the game, and this time we actually watched it at Rogers Center, which is actually where the baseball players actually would play if they were playing here. But again, they were not here; they were at LA, so it was just a watch party. Tickets were not that expensive; it was only $15, so that's why we went. And I gotta be honest, that was probably the best baseball game I've ever been to. Like, genuinely, it was so amazing. They got 2 home runs in the first 2 hits, back-to-back home run, and I was so livid. It was amazing. It was fun. They gave us free popcorn. I was having a blast, and we end up winning that game too. And yeah, it was just really fun. Like, the experience, the atmosphere. I haven't been in like sports atmosphere in a while, especially in Toronto, because we always lose. So it was nice to see us win. I went there and we actually won, so it wasn't like the biggest waste of time. And yeah, my favorite moment there was like we were outside, and everyone, like, after the game, everyone was chanting. We got people in the streets, like, they're yelling, they're saying "Go Jays," blah blah blah. And like I like kind of jumped into the crowd at one point, and like I started like going like, yeah, going crazy a little bit. And I made it to some like random reel, which I thought was really funny, and we were like just singing the national anthem. I don't know why the heck they started singing the national anthem, but I thought it was funny, and we did it. But yeah, great day. Actually, I think that was my favorite day out of last week, because it was just so fun, and it's been a while since I've experienced something like that. And yeah, still no drinking for me. And I low-key also, I think I got one of my coworkers into sports betting right in that game, because they asked me like, Josh, what do you use to sports bet? Because I'm not gonna lie, I do sports bet a bit. I don't have a lot of money in it as of right now, because I pulled out almost all of my money. I had like $5. I don't even know why I said almost. I only have $5 in my account. But yeah, that was a bad decision. I should have not got them hooked, because they seemed like they were really hooked, and I felt kind of bad. But yeah, don't do gambling. Don't do sports gambling. It's hard in this era. I watched a really good YouTube video recently about how gambling is like become like the epidemic of gambling, and I thought that was a really good video, and it actually made me want to like stop. Made me. It didn't make me, but it made me want to. But I only have like periods of where I do it, and yeah, I'm out of it now because, well, the World Series is over. I only tend to do bets on like very interesting games, playoff season, stuff like that. And right now there's nothing going on except football, but it's not the Super Bowl, so who cares? But anyways, yeah, I might have got them hooked, but it was still a great day. And I had lots of fun. Again, still sleep deprived. I can't lie. I was very tired. And it brings me to the Thursday, which is where I was probably the most tired. And it was crazy because another interesting event happened that day, which is actually later in the day. But to start off the day, which is really funny, on the morning bus on my way to work, I randomly saw a university student, a uni friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while. And so I chatted up with them for like the first hour of my bus ride. And it was really cool because I didn't see them in a bit. But yeah, I talked with them. They were super cool. And yeah, we just talked about some like school stuff. I asked them like about how school going. It's their reading week, which basically means it's their week. It's their free week. They don't have classes, and they're supposed to be studying, but obviously most kids don't. They just mess around or whatever. But yeah, they're telling me how they because they're about to graduate, and so that day they were going downtown to meet up with their old manager from internship that they did Also, there's cops in the background. I don't know if you heard that, but they were meeting up with their old manager for a co-op that they want, internship co-op, same thing, whatever, that they did. And they wanted to know if they could get, like, I don't know, they were just trying to see if they could get something out of it. So they met up with them, and I thought that was really cool because they took initiative to go and meet with their old manager, something I've not even done to meet up with my old manager or anything. I've emailed them and got nothing. So, that's my experience. But, it's good for them. I hope they ended up getting something useful out of that conversation or whatever, meeting or coffee chat. I don't know. But yeah, that was a funny way to start off the day. And then I was really tired for the rest of the day. And this was kind of my rest day. I did go home, but I think the event that happened that day, which was really funny, was I fell asleep on the subway, and it got to so my stop, I actually go all the way to the end, so I actually get off at the very last station, so it doesn't really matter. But I remember I got to the last station, I was kind of half asleep. I was asleep, I had my head down, I just closed my eyes, and someone tapped me, and I looked up, and then it was just some random middle-aged person. He went up to me and he's like, "Oh, we're at Kennedy," and then I just said thank you. Like, I was so dazed. I was like, "Oh, thank you," and then he walked away, and then I got up and I started walking. But that was the first time I'd ever almost like fell asleep through an entire ride. And not only that, almost missed the last stop, which is so like crazy. That's how I was like dead tired, because that's never happened to me ever. It's already hard enough for me to fall asleep on the subway, but to like do it and then get all the way to the end and then almost still be asleep, like, oh my gosh. Like, I know people get that tired. I never thought I'd ever get that tired in my entire life, and there was. And shout out to that guy, because it could have been, like really bad. Like, I could have been like going back, and then who knows what could have happened to me. But shout out him. That is a true act of kindness that I never really get myself. Like, I've never had that interaction happen to me before, so I thought that was great. And I gotta, like, I just want to shout out that guy, because it was really nice of him to wake me up, even though it doesn't seem like that much, but I still remember it even almost a week later. So I really am thankful for that guy. And then anyways, the rest of that day I feel like that was the least eventful day, was that Thursday. Nothing much, I besides those two things happen. Oh, dang. We have to go back a little bit, because I forgot to say something, not crazy, something very useful and good happened at work. And that was, I didn't find a way, but I was working on automation tools, scripts, macros for my work, and I managed to get a script running for a task that I do like daily, and it's a very main task, and it probably it went from an hour to like 10 minutes of work. So it was amazing. I'm super glad that happened. And yeah, it's still a work in progress. I need to figure out how to loop it still. I didn't have time to really think about how I wanted to iterate that, but yeah, I was just really happy I got to do it, and I implemented it, and I've been using it for like a week now, and it's been amazing. So it's great. Obviously, it doesn't really help that much. Like, it's just only like 1 hour of my day, but like that's still a lot. So yeah, it really helped me out, and I hope to create more. There's some tasks that I can never like automate because of just the nature of the task, like sending emails and stuff. Like, I can't do that. Like, that's for me, well, at least for me, like that's like impossible. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do those manually. But for the other tasks, like, I'm still trying to think of ways to fully automate a few things, and it's great that I had that was my first ever one, and I was really happy about that last week. So I'm very proud of myself. And yeah, let's see if I can continue doing that. But that's some good news I wanted to share. We'll say that's on the Thursday, because it feels like Thursday was a little lackluster. But let's just say I figured that out on Thursday, even though it was like on the Tuesday. But then here comes the Friday. Friday, pretty big day. It's Halloween, so lots of trick-or-treaters. Shout out all the trick-or-treaters out there. I didn't go to work that day. I forgot to also say that. Okay, so that Thursday actually was also eventful, because people were dressing up on the Thursday, and so I saw a lot of amazing costumes that day. There was a Baymax. There's like Mario and Luigi. I think I saw a Pokemon trainer and I thought that was really funny. And yeah, it was really nice. Lots of interesting costumes, and I gotta say, like, there was really, oh, I saw Soulja Boy. Oh my gosh, yeah, there's like from K-pop Demon Hunters. Yeah, there's lots of great costumes. So shout out everyone who dressed up. I didn't, but you know what? It's okay. I'm not big on dressing up and cosplaying and stuff like that, so I don't really care. But yeah, there's some cool costumes. And so on Halloween, I did not go to work. I have a one work from home day, and that was actually really great for Friday because helped me gain my rest, especially after that Thursday falling asleep on the train. That's horrible. But yeah, able to get my rest up, and Blue Jays game again was on that day. We lost. So actually, did we lose? Or was there? Oh wait, I don't even think there was a game that day. Yeah, the game was on the Saturday. I think it was the Saturday and then it was the Sunday. Yeah. No, that doesn't make any sense because I remember watching. No, no, no. Friday was game six. Friday was game six. Friday was game six, and we did lose that. That was an unfortunate game to lose. And there was again, it was Halloween, so that was like the biggest. That was the big thing that was going on with that event. Trick or treaters. I did get some candy. I can't lie. Got some candy. Got some chips, and sat on the couch, watched some of the game, and then cried because we lost. Very sad way to lose. We could have won that game, but had to get it wedged. Tough luck. And yeah, that was just the Friday. There was also a couple things that happened on Friday because a friend actually asked me to go. University friend asked me to go downtown to watch the game with them, but then I told them no because I didn't want to. And then another friend from elementary school asked me to go to this Halloween party thing. It's not a party. It was just like this one major street in downtown Toronto. It was just like these people dress up in Halloween costumes, and yeah, they invited me, but I didn't go. Mainly because I wanted to stay home, but it's also because like I was just dead tired. I'll be honest, I was just so dead tired. And so yeah, I want to stay home and watch the game. So that's what we did. I stayed home, watched the game. And what else? That was it. That was all that happened on Friday. And big day was Saturday where I went downtown to go watch the final game 7 of the Jays. And yeah, that's where I was talking about earlier. Wasn't the greatest outcome. Spoiler alert. Yeah, we lost, and yeah, it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. I will say the game was very entertaining, and there was a really big home run, and that was like really electrifying, and it was just amazing. And it was so fun when that happened, but the ending of the game, oh my gosh, it was so sad. Saw a lot of grown men cry that day in the arena. Again, this was just the watch party, not the actual game, because those tickets were going for 2K, and I did not have the funds to spend on that. So yeah, I think the worst part about it all is that it was my brother's birthday on the Sunday, and because the game went to overtime, it bled into, so it literally ended like the Sunday, well, at like 12 a.m. So yeah, not a great way to start off my brother's birthday, and I felt really bad, but you know what? It's okay. You win some, you lose some. I've already come to terms with it. Great effort from the team. Shout out the Jays, man. It was a good effort, but I gotta blame Drake low key. Because Kendrick and Drake, like the beef, and lots of people want to say Kendrick won, and now Kendrick won again because LA beat Toronto, so we kind of stink. Toronto, it's not Toronto's year this year, so tough luck. But we'll move on, try to get something one day, and yeah, it was just really sad. We were all looking forward to it. I can be honest and say that I actually put $5 on the Blue Jays winning. Didn't hit. So yeah, I lost my $5 too. It was kind of sad. But at the end of the day, just for fun. It's just all entertainment. It's just for fun. And all we can say now is that, number one, the Jays got a lot of money from all the fans who spent a lot of money. Lots of money was spent. And number two, I should probably go buy the merch now because it's like gonna be on sale. So yeah, great times indeed. I'm trying to think if anything else happened that Saturday because, that was just the end of the day. But I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was most of my day. It was just waiting for that to happen. So yeah, that was the big thing that happened that day. And of course, I already mentioned the Sunday, which was yesterday, most important thing, my brother's birthday. And we did celebrate that. We went to restaurant Mandarin, ate some good food. Then I went to church. And that was the end of my week. And yeah, very, very eventful. Again, for some people it might not sound like much, but for me, like, my life isn't really that interesting, especially with work these days. And so that was probably like the most interesting week I've ever had in a very long time. So lots of fun, very tiring. Definitely got a lot of sleep on that Saturday. And I am fully refreshed now. I feel a lot better. So glad it's all over. To be honest, like, I'm low-key glad it's all over because it was very busy. And yeah, it's going to be another busy week for me. November and December is very busy for my work. So I'm not looking forward to the next couple months. But we'll have to see how it goes. I'll try my best to upload videos and stuff. But again, sorry for not uploading. I try my best. But yeah, life isn't giving me that opportunity so far. So again, I hope everyone's doing great. I wonder if your week was as busy as mine. Probably wasn't, or maybe it was. I don't know. You guys have busy lives, I guess. And I hope it's been good. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for listening to my busy week. I hope it was entertaining enough for you to get through it all, because I'm so sorry it was a very big yap session. But I don't know. I want to talk about it because it's funny. Fun week, for sure. But yeah, appreciate everybody, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.